Hello everyone, it's Matt Hunter here, your host for Anarchist Revolution. So today I'm going to do a video outlining why I named myself and my handle as Anarchist Revolution. Now why I call myself Anarchist Revolution is because I believe that's what the next phase of humanity we're moving into, is anarchy. Now first, for you to understand my name, I'm going to break down what exactly anarchy means. Now I'm going to read what anarchy means out of the Webster's Dictionary. Anarchy out of the Webster's Dictionary is defined as an absence of government, a state of lawlessness or political disorder due to the absence of government authority, a utopian society of individuals who enjoy complete freedom without government. Now that last one sounds pretty good. So to understand anarchy, we must understand those definitions. And a lot of people, when they hear the word anarchy, they think of what the media portrays anarchists as, which is young kids, rebels with no laws and rules that just want to go out and break stuff and smash stuff. And that's not what anarchy is. And that's why you see the media putting such a focus in on these black bloc groups or these kids that smash stuff and labeling them anarchists, so they can discredit people like me and other anarchists that are like-minded like myself. To make it look like we're all out to be bad guys. To make anarchists out to be kids that want to smash stuff. Well, that's not what it is. And I'm going to break down for you today what exactly anarchy is. Anarchy is the simple, logical application on the moral premise that the initiation of the use of force is always wrong. If violence is a bad way to solve problems, then by definition, government is immoral, since government are individuals who claim the right to initiate force in the forms of taxation and regulations. Anarchy does not mean no rules. It means no rulers. It means everyone's put on an even playing field, that no individual is different than the other. And whenever I argue for a stateless society without governments, I always get an argument back that says, well, how will X be then provided? If we get rid of government, who will build the roads? If we get rid of government, who will replace social welfare? If we get rid of government, so it's a common question I get. If we get rid of government, what will replace it? And whenever I argue for anarchy, my response to these people is always, well, the people that are concerned with the absence of X, whatever they're asking for, are the ones that will provide it. Like the free market. The birth of the telephone was because people didn't want to have to travel on their horse and buggy or whatever miles and miles away to talk to the person they were trying to talk to, or mail a letter or stuff like that. So it was people's needs in the free market that give birth to things like the cell phone and all these beautiful technologies we enjoy today. And that's where government differs from the free market. Is government doesn't rely on you to pay them. They forcibly take your money through taxation. And that's where I have a main concern with government in the society we're living in today. It's not that I'm totally opposed to government. If you can somehow create a government that's based off voluntarism, that you have to volunteer to pay into it and you're not forced to, hey, I'm okay with that. You can do whatever you want as long as you're not impeding on my rights and taking my property. And I think that's where the corruption seeps in, and I think that's where government gives a platform for all the issues we're facing. Is they have that right to initiate force through violence. So I think if we eliminate that monopoly of power over the initiation of force, all the issues we're facing in society will trickle and down and help and fix themselves. The smallest minority in the world is the individual. Anything that impedes or treads on the individual's rights is a problem. As long as an individual is not harming an individual, there should be no problem. My big slogan, and Cop Block's big slogan, is no victim, no crime. This goes for things like prostitution, drugs, basically anything that doesn't hurt any other person. And who's the government to tell you how you can run your life? If you want to put drugs in your body, good or bad ones, who's the government to tell you any different? When we first created the government, it was there to protect our individual rights and protect the people. Not to violate their rights by telling them you're not allowed to do these things, and if you do, then we'll put you in jail. So if I can just stress this message to people all around the world, that if you're wondering, hey, if you're looking around and saying, why is the world so messed up right now? Why is there so much war, poverty, and corruption? Why does it seem to get worse each and every year that goes by? It's very simple. Because we live in a society that's based off violence. That our property is forcibly taken from us at the barrel of a gun. Let me give an example. Our government in Canada here lost $3 billion in taxpayer money. Now, if we were in a voluntarist society and our government was based off voluntarism, that moment that we found out that our elected officials lost $3 billion, $3 billion, we would simply then, in a voluntarist society, say, hey, we're not paying you guys next month's check until you pull up your socks. Now, this would go for things like wars and all the other things that government seems to do wrong and mess up. I'm just using this one example. So at that moment, you could stop paying them, and they would have to pull up their socks, like the free market act works. That's how the free market works. If you go into Best Buy, and Best Buy treats you like crap, Best Buy loses you as a customer, and loses money, and that's why companies try so hard to keep their customers, because their money's not guaranteed like it is the government is guaranteed through taxation. So that's why you see innovation in the free market. The private sector invented the iPhones and the phones and laptops, and every single year or 6 months you see them coming out with new stuff. But yet where anything the government owns, it hasn't changed in 100 years. And I also would like to point out that in this day and age, you're 8 times more likely to be killed by a police officer than you are a terrorist. But yet every time I turn on the news or read a paper, it's always this fear-mongering about there's terrorists. We need to have TSA in your airport. We need to have checkpoints. We need to pat you down. Gun-free zones. And all this for this fear of terrorism, when if you went by the actual FBI statistics, we should be more worried about our local police officers, because they kill more civilians than terrorists do. Also, in the U.S., there's been 3,500 deaths of American soldiers overseas in Iraq. There's 5,000 deaths of Americans here in America. Well, I'm in Canada, but in America, from police officers. So there's more people dying at the hands of police officers in America than there are American soldiers over in a war. That's messed up. But why this police abuse is allowed to happen, or why the tar sands in here in Canada is allowed to happen, and why the debts continue to rise, why our student loan tuitions continue to rise, and why all of society's problems continue to get worse each and every year, is because the people that run these programs are guaranteed their checks through violence, through taxation. So if you want to eliminate all world issues and all problems we face today, you start by eliminating government, because government offers the platform for evil people to go in there and use that extra granted powers they're given. I'll take it even a step further though. Even before. So once we eliminate government, there still will be evil people out there. There still will be your murderers and your rapists. And the free market will be able to deal with these people. And I will argue the free market and how it can deal with these people in another video I'll do after this. But for now, I want to explain to you guys how this corruption happens. And once again, I'll say it. It's because all the government positions are guaranteed their pays. And that's where everything goes wrong. So I will leave you guys with, please, I'm begging everyone out there. This is not only for my good, but this is for the entire world's good. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your politicians, talk to your family, talk to anyone you're passing on the street, and just stop them and explain to them, hey, have you ever stopped and thought that taxation is actually theft? And we have no say if we can pay in it or not? Now, a mugger comes down the street and takes your purse or your wallet, you're outraged. That man stole from me. But because of a guy who's wearing a suit and calling himself a government official, you allow him to steal from you. And in some cases, 40 to 70% of your wages, depending on where you're located in the world, through taxation. And that also affects people that want to start up businesses, because now you're taking half of their wages, that's half the wages they don't have to reinvest back into the economy, to create new jobs. Or maybe to give it to charity, to help the poor people. Maybe there would be more people helping poor people and homeless people if the government wasn't stealing over half their paycheck. They probably think in their minds, well, I'm already getting half of my money stolen from me. What else do you want? Do you want it all? So I feel if we eliminated government, we would eliminate all the problems we have. Now, like I said, like I was getting to, we would still have your rapists and your murderers. But we would be in a hell of a lot better situation to deal with these people. And at that point, the free market could focus on how to help those rapists and murderers. Because rapists and murderers and all bad people in society stem from bad parenting. There's actually only a very, very, very small few people, a handful, in the entire world that are legitimately crazy or murderous because of maybe they got into a car accident and a piece of their brain was chipped away or something. And I can understand that. And those people you can't really help. But majority of people in the world that are assholes or that are crazy or murderous, it all stems from parenting and your upbringing and the environment you were brought into. So once we eliminate government, the next step then is to focus on parenting and to give initiatives to good parenting. I mean, it's 2014. We have a rover on Mars. We have rockets going up into space. And we still live in a world that you're allowed to steal people's wages through taxation. Now, when you're very young, 2, 3 years old, your mom, everyone in the entire world teaches their kids, don't hit, don't steal, don't kill. Very simple, logical premises is to understand. Very simple moral code, especially for Christians and any kind of religious groups. This is what your 10 Commandments say, but yet you allow government officials to break all these laws. I urge all you Christians or religious people out there, why aren't you screaming for them to end the wars? Doesn't your God tell you that killing's wrong? Don't you know that your money, your taxpayer money, goes to fund those wars, so you're guilty in a sense that you're paying for the soldiers to have the equipment to do the killings that they're doing? So I'd urge everybody, please get this message out there. Spread voluntarism and break through the brainwashing. And let's start raising a peaceful generation. The statistics say about 80% of Canadians still spank their children. And that's appalling. Because that's where the problem starts, where for children to raise themselves in an environment where their parents are spanking them makes them susceptible to violence. I've seen mothers in restaurants smack their kid and say, don't hit. And it just boggles my mind when they do things like that. And when you raise a generation like we've been raised, that it's okay to hit your children, that there's so much violence on TV, it desensitizes us and it gets us used to our individual rights being violated. For we all know government is just another model of the family. So in closing, stop spanking your kids, and let's live in a system based off of voluntarism and not coercion and violence. All problems from that point will start to fix themselves. It's Matt Hunter, your host of Anarchist Revolution, signing off.